G'day, Amazing. I am just getting myself ready. I've got a couple of things to do this afternoon. I have to cram everything into the one day off a week I get, although I am on a little bit of a break. So I know I seem to be taking a lot of breaks, but it isn't normal for me. I actually usually just work all the time and don't have holidays. So the week off I had last week for our anniversary, that was the first time before that we didn't do anything. We actually are not a holiday family. We don't take big vacations or anything like that. All of these little mini breaks and holidays, they're actually quite a new thing for us. We've given ourselves permission for that. But this weekend is just a couple of days that we're taking off because we've got great friends from Perth coming to visit Melbourne, and we want to go and spend some time with them. So they're over with their two kids who we haven't seen, we haven't seen one of them since they were an infant, and the other one we've never actually met. We've only just seen the photos of them. So I think in the future, one of our breaks is going to be, we're going to fly out to Perth and hang out with them, which I'm actually quite excited about. I haven't actually been out to Perth since they got married in 2010. So don't even realize how fast time has passed. So the fact that it only feels like the last time I saw them was a couple of years ago, but that was when they have an infant, and now the infant's 13. I've got an appointment this afternoon. I'm just going to do a quick face and just talk about what we did last weekend, which I completely forgot to talk about. Sorry, I know I kind of said I'm going to talk about what we did at the spa and then completely forgot and did something else instead, because I did put a little bit of moisturizer and things on my face. I'm not going to do a whole lot. I'm just going to do a light face. And the other day I did a really simple green look, which when I was doing it, I thought, hey, let's make sure our eye color is the same shade of green as an overcooked hard-boiled egg. And it looked nice. And then I had an older lady, well, I say older lady, she's probably my age, and complimented me on my makeup. And I was like, oh, you know, especially a woman compliments your makeup, it's such a nice feeling. I like that so much that she was like, wow, your makeup is absolutely beautiful. And I thought, thank you very much. So that's that. So I'm just gonna put on a little bit. This is the Naked Sundays serum. It's just got a light coverage. It's nothing really. It'll probably disappear once it's spread out, but it's just an SPF serum layer. I think the color disappears quite quick, and it is very glowy. But it is quite a sunny day today, so I want to make sure I put some SPF. I did put a layer of SPF on a couple hours ago, but just to make sure I'm well covered, I'm gonna have to get right into the habit of putting sunscreen on every day. I kind of fell out of it because we've had such wet gray weather lately. It wasn't worthwhile. I've just realized I forgot to put my mic on again. Hold on. All right, now I've got my mic on. Hopefully that won't sound so tinny and strange. I don't think the iPhone is actually that bad for audio, but having the lav mic just kind of blocks out some of the street noise and other noises that the phone seems to pick up. Now you can hear and I can see everything's working out just the way I planned. Yeah, so you can see it doesn't impart much color onto the skin or anything like that. It is very shiny though. So I've decided that, now tried to do some of the like Project Pan stuff that I thought about last month, but I'm not super good at organizing or remembering things. So I just forgot. I mean, I had the drawer here with the things that I wanted to use, and I did use a lot of them. I'm gonna have to figure out a plan to make that a lot more consistent. But one of the things I definitely want to use up before I forget that it exists and don't use it is the Fenty foundation. It's a nice foundation. I actually quite like it, but I don't think it's gonna last me through the whole summer that's coming, and then it might be expired after the summer. So I kind of have to use it up. So maybe not a work day foundation, it's a day off foundation. I'm using, what color are you? This is the Fenty Beauty Eaze Drop Blurring Skin Tint in shade number 3. I'm gonna just dab it around with my fingers for a bit and then get the brush out to finalize it, because I never know how much I'm actually going to need. That was just a line across my finger. As it starts to dry, then I'll bring out the brush, and I think the oil in the Naked Sundays will extend that dry time a bit. So that was just a second little line I've added on there. I'm gonna come in and pat, pat, pat. I have a fringe, I have bangs that I usually wear, and that means that I have this like pink line in front of my, it looks like I've had this receding hairline, and I'm worried, I get all worried that I've had a receding hairline. There we go. It's quite nice. Actually doesn't do bad on that yellow spot that I can't stand. So I'll just let that kind of sit and mingle for a little bit. I'll find a concealer. I've got the Ritual Defee. Oh, there's no way, even with my readers, that I can figure out what that is. I think it's their second lightest one. It's not the lightest one. I think it's the second lightest one, or the second lightest neutral one. And I just do a little blob on my hand, and then I'll get my fine little stamping brush and just tap it. Not that you can see what I'm doing. Just tap it out a bit. Let it dry, sort of. And then try and get the dark purple that I get right in the eye pits there a bit lighter, just to conceal those. My eyes were quite puffy this morning. I don't know why. So that does a good job. It's a little bit too light for me, so I don't tend to go for it, which is why it's been in my project pan. I sometimes found that the tone wasn't right. I don't know what it is. There's something just quite not right about it for me, but then I change my mind about these things all the time, so we'll see. Today, that's what we're going with. So here I go. I've gone all off, and I haven't even talked about the spa. So we went to the town or city. I can't remember. I have to check the population numbers. It's a town called Warrnambool, which is at the end of the Great Ocean Road along the bottom of Victoria in Australia. And it's a beautiful drive. I wouldn't take the Great Ocean Road all the way there. That's like a 4-hour drive, and it's very twisty, bendy. It's beautiful. Do it once in your life, absolutely. But we live down here. We actually live on the Great Ocean Road. So we took a different route around all of that just to avoid a lot of the tour buses and slow driving and other things that would cause us road rage because we're locals. So it's based around an extinct volcano, and they have geothermal baths there. It's fantastic. The temperature gets up to about 41 C. It's between 38 to 41 C, depending on the time of day or what happens. And they have to bore down about 850 meters into the earth to get to the layer that water is sat in. So it's like all the rainwater filters down into this underground water reservoir, and then they get it back out, and it's really, really awesome. So they have an indoor pool, the geothermal pool, and they have outdoor pools that are of slightly different temperatures, which is really nice. The day that we went out to the outdoor pools, they'd give you like a 3-hour session, which is actually a bit too much. I didn't need a 3-hour session out there. We endured as much as we could. We got about pruny after 2, but it's just lovely. So you can book like an hour just to go soak in the pools indoors. Now, usually they said on the days that we went, which was like, a Tuesday, Wednesday, it should be very, very quiet. But it's the end of the AFL, or Australian rules, football season that week. We had our grand final last week as well. And there was the local footy team was in for a soak and using the cold plunge. So the indoor pool that the first night that we were there, we went to the indoor pool, a rotating group of about over 15 to 20 young men coming in and out the pools, and just a bit boisterous and chatty and sweary, and none of that really bothers me. And there were a couple of other young girls that were there who were also locals. There's a lot of locals that go there, which is lovely, that they take part and support that. I mean, why wouldn't you? If you had that on your doorstep, wouldn't you? They were laughing because they noticed that a lot of the fellas, they would be in the hot soak, and then they go to the cold plunge pool, and they would only stand in it. So it was probably only about, I don't know, I'm trying to do conversions in my head. I would say 1 meter deep, just over maybe 1.5 meters deep. So like if you sat on a bench in there, you could still, it would only come up to your neck. But if you stand, it would only just come up to your mid thigh. So it's not that deep. But the blokes, they would only stand. They wouldn't, only 1 or 2 were brave enough to sit, and the girls, the young girls, were just saying, what a couple of, what a bunch of cowards. Although they didn't say that, they called them the P word. So what a bunch of cowards that they won't actually, get their junk into the cold water. Like, what are they afraid of? Har har, It was quite funny just hanging out and chatting with them for a bit. And of course, I hate the cold water. So, my husband, he goes in, he's like, whoop, he goes in, he sits right down and he's chatting with the girls and he's like, yeah, look at those young folks, silly coward boys. They should just get in there and, get to it. And I come in there and I'm just like 1 foot, yeah, 2 foot, just crying and hating every second of it. And I'm like, yep, no, I hate this. This is why I left New England. I don't like cold. I don't want snow. I hate this. I just was an absolute crybaby the whole time. So, but I did eventually go and sit down and get it up to my neck. I got brave enough. I was braver than the footy boys, all right? In the end, I was braver than the footy boys. All right, so the eye look I did the other day was with the Glaminatrix Nearly Natural palette. And I was just hanging around in this quad here of, it is the color of a hard-boiled egg. It's like, that's your healthy hard-boiled egg. That's the greeny crust on an overcooked hard-boiled egg. This is probably not how Glaminatrix wants their colors described, but that's what it is. That's what I used. And it actually looked quite nice. And I'll go in with the yellowy one, which is called Essence. And then the other one's called Down to Earth. So I'm going to start with Essence. This is what I did. In the crease and just above. The next day we had quite a few things booked. So we had an infrared sauna booked. Now the difference with an infrared sauna versus, a Swedish sauna. So the Swedish sauna, you go into the box, the wooden box, and there's some heated rocks, and you just put water on the rocks, and that heats up the room and creates a bunch of steam. And the steam is what gets you all, hot and gets that sweat going. The infrared just uses infrared rays on different levels that kind of like, you can kind of feel them penetrating, and it has there's like a little animation inside the box that shows like the different wavelengths. I don't know, but yeah, it's a dry sauna. So having the, recovering from pneumonia and still having a bit of goop in my lung, I thought that would be really good. And it was nice, but it's not, I love a sauna. Now, I hate the cold, don't want the cold plunge, and nothing like that. You get me a sauna or the hot tubs or anything, I love them. I just want to be a human soup. That's all I want. Don't any cannibals come for me. All right, I don't want to be a human soup. I want to live. So I rather enjoyed it. It was good, but it's not as hot. It doesn't get as hot as a Swedish sauna. So if that appeals to you, like if you absolutely hate the sauna, but you do want to get like that warm, healthy, that cleansy sweat off, that might be something to consider and have a look for. I'm just going to go into the darker green shade. That was Down to Earth. And just put that on my lid. What do you call this? Crease, in the absolute crease and the outer part of my lid. And then the other thing that we did there was they have salt therapy, and I wasn't quite sure what it was about, but what it turned out to be is you go into this room and it's just a series of deck chairs, comfy deck chairs, not bad ones, really comfy ones, and a little blanket and the floor is covered in salt, and you can't be wet. You know, they're like, can't shower or have wet hair or anything. You yourself have to be completely dry. So, you know, if you're going to do something like that, you can't book the baths, you know, like go have a plunge in the hot pool and then go into the salt room. They want you to be so completely dry. And you sit in your deck chair and they give you little headphones and you can have a guided meditation. They put the lights down really, really low. And there's just an opening at the front of the room that just blows in gently. It's not like you're getting pelted or anything, just a gentle aeration of medically, I don't know what they called it, medically significant or medically approved salt. And you're breathing that in. I thought, well, that would be useful, you know, try and dry out and cleanse everything. And actually, I did have quite a cough after to help get rid of, you know, that goop. So you see what I mean? Kind of look like a overboiled egg. But it works out in the end. And then, yeah, so then the third night, sorry, no, that was the second. So then the second night, we did the 3-hour session in the outdoor. Several different pools. So some of them are in a cave. So if it's raining out, then you can get some cover. And they're all different temperatures, different depths. Some of them are, you know, a lot smaller, so only a couple could go in there. And some are bigger, so if you're with a larger group of people, or if you're like, you know, the pair of us and then, you know, a couple other strangers, and you can just sit. We just sit and chit-chat about nothing, you know, polite talk, or just ignore each other. There was one very friendly, chatty girl from New Zealand who she kind of told us her whole life story and all the different places that she's gone and traveled. She's big into travel, but she seems to go to hot thermal spas all over the world. So she was telling us about some of her adventures in New Zealand and the US and other places. I love people like that. I'm like that. I can just sit, I can talk to anybody about anything. I'm not fearful of small talk. I'm the queen of small talk, but don't get me talking about anything of any depth, because then I'll start to get a bit, shy. I'll get shy. Yet, you wouldn't believe that by watching this video, because I've talked about some fairly personal things before. Just gonna use a clean brush just to diffuse that out a bit. Blend that out. That's what you call that. That's blending. I have a weird patchy bit there. I think that might be just because of all the greasy crap I've put on my face so far. And I didn't put an eye primer on. I probably did use an eye primer the other day. So I went for these colors the other day because I was, it was like the day after I'd done the video about trying to cover up this, and I thought, well, let's see what happens if we do colors that kind of own it and incorporate it. Because I still think, you know, there are times when you can own these things that we view as flaws that other people probably don't view as flaws at all. I'm going to go in with that darker color again, down to earth, just under the eye. Just use the same brush. Not much, just a little. I'll probably come back in with some of the darker brown. There's a dark brown in here called Disrobe. Just grab a liner brush and just tap that in right at the lash line. Now so far, I haven't had any settling into lines or anything, which is nice. That's a win. I have on my forehead though. The deeper lines definitely have some, but not the finer lines around my eyes. That's okay. I haven't powdered or anything, so I can fix them before I do that. And then I'll just smudge that in a bit. Just tapping in a little bit more of that down to earth. So yeah, if you live in Australia and you want something different to do for a wee break, I highly recommend the Deep Blue. They were nice people. You can get DoorDash
meals delivered as well. That was helpful because we would sometimes not get hungry until later at night. Now for the sparkle, I'm just going to go into this green, which is called Exposed. And I didn't spray that one or anything. I just tap my brush in and put it straight in my eye, and it attaches and blends really beautifully. Doesn't need any coaxing at all. It is a nice soft golden green. Yeah, my face does still feel a bit wet, and it's been some time, so maybe those two products don't mix well, the Fenty and the Naked Sunday Serum. I'm just going to use a tiny bit of the light shade here that's just above these, called Pure. Pure and Disrobe. It's an interesting story. I'm just going to do that right on the inner bit. I'll just do my mascara and be right back. All right, got that bit done. Just gonna tap around the creases and the wrinkles to make sure none of that stuff stays in there where it don't belong before I put some powder on. Just check everything else. I like to use a lot of powder on my face. I forgot to put blush on. It's alright. I'll use a powder blush. It won't matter. I'll just go in with the Clinique Pansy Pop. Just on those yellowy bits on my eye. I'll just turn this over. You can see there's a pink side. It's very subtle, but it does remove that kind of yellow panda mark on my face. Do I need a contour? Maybe. I don't want to go over the top, so I'm just gonna use that Fenty, just a touch, just there. Just to I'm just tapping onto the stick. I'm not gonna doodle on my face with it, because that would be too much, I think, for me. So tell me, did anybody go and watch Ali Ambrose's video that I recommended? Did you? What'd you think? It's pretty cool stuff, huh? I sure think it does. I think it's brilliant. I went and watched it again, and then I saw different things that I was like, you know, I didn't pay attention to that the first time. I think I was probably off digging in drawers trying to find purple blushes and didn't fully listen. So it's always good to go back. I save those types of videos. I save them in a little folder on YouTube, and I'm not going to look snatched, okay? I'm not going to fight nature in that way. I am realistic. What time is it? Oh, and I've got 10 minutes before my alarm goes off, so I've finished early. What? Who is good at time management? I am. Well, there we go. That is my golden olive eye look, or I mean, I don't want to say overcooked hard-boiled egg eye look, but that's what I thought when I was doing it. But it's a very attractive overcooked hard-boiled egg look from the Glaminatrix Nearly Natural palette, which I've quite enjoyed. I think on those days that I don't need to, or I don't feel like being over the top, you know, drama, this will be a nice one. And it does complement quite nicely with the Barely Basic palette. So that's the Barely Basic palette. Not that you can see it because it's shiny, but you can see the tones are a lot bolder, even though it does have those same kind of yellowy, greeny, eggy shades. So if you put them together, can I sit back? You can see they go well. They go well together. They're differently similar. They're just like an extension of each other. I'm babbling now. So thank you very much for hanging out. I'm gonna go head out. I will be back soon. I did get the Cheery Up Star Core palette. I had a little dip in it, which is why I lost one of my stars. I didn't realize that they were just a little bit on top. I thought that the whole thing. So I'm gonna come and play with that. I did like little testings of myself. Who could resist? Who could resist not sticking their fingers in something new when they get it? Can I just say, this blue, yeah, it looks different on the screen. It looks very blue, but when I turn it, it's quite purple. This is stunning. This is stunning. This beautiful, oh, it's a beautiful blue. It's got, it's not only just like a nice blue metallic, but it's got this holographic sparkle that just looks like stars. It's absolutely stunning. So I'm gonna have fun creating something with this next time. Thanks for hanging out. You have yourselves a lovely day. I've only got 5 minutes left. I've done well. And I will see you again very, very soon. I appreciate you and thank you to my currently 19 subscribers. Wow. Have yourselves all a wonderful day, wonderful night, whatever your time zone is. And I will see you again very soon. Goodbye.